time. As we've discussed previously, the 21st of June is a really important date, and you'll see why as we look at the roses. This is standard hybrid tea. Hybrid tea meaning that it has individual flowers. The other type of standard that is common is floribunda, which has many flowers. So you'd have more than one flower at each juncture. The other thing that we see about this standard is that it's not staked properly. It has two stakes and some raffia tied around it. But what the issue is that unless you stake above the graft here, what's going to happen in strong winds as this head gets bigger, there is the potential for it to actually blow out. So we don't encourage that form of staking, and a single stake, usually steel, is better than the timber because the timber rots in time, and that will give you a much better outcome than what we're seeing with the staking here. First thing I'll do, as discussed previously, is 70% metho, 30% distilled water or town water as such. Give my secateurs a spray. I'm going to use secateurs this morning because the wood's a bit thicker, and I'm going to use the metho constantly as I make the cuts. So the first thing to show you is what the buds look like, because at this time of the year what you have is the buds just starting to swell up, so it's really easy to see. And what we're looking for is outward facing buds when we do the pruning. So the ones that face out, not the ones that face back in or the ones that face upwards, but the outward facing buds. So with this hybrid tea, what we're going to do is to take out the centre wood and leave in an umbrella shape the wood on the outside, and then thin that wood back. So we will take approximately 2/3 of the wood off here, and by pruning at this time of the year in June, you will have flowers the second week in November. You don't want flowers earlier because the weather can be a bit ho-hum. So by pruning now, within the next week or two, that's when the flowering will occur. So we'll get into this and take the centre wood out. Close cuts. Close cuts. Question is, do we take that out? The answer is yes. So we've now got our umbrella shape as such. We're going to take a little bit more wood out, and then we're going to look for the shape of how this will fill back in. So as discussed earlier, we'll just look for an outward facing bud. This stem is going up. So what I would do is I'd take that off, and then what you'll find is that there's a bud underneath here that will fill that space out there. This one here, looking for an outward facing bud, just there, snip that off. A little bit above where the bud is so you don't get too close. There can be a little bit of dieback in that as such. And looking at this stem here, if you find an outward facing bud, clip that off there. Take that one off there. Outward facing here on that stem. Maybe we'll take that back to that point there, just to even it up. And that's how it will look. 2 minutes, job done. The other thing that I would do is that the understock, which is this part down here, the stem, is actually got a stub on it just there, above what has been grafted onto it either side. I'd remove that just to tidy it up. End of story. Next one is iceberg. Now there's a couple of icebergs to do. Once again, the staking, as you can see, is an issue. They should be singularly staked. These are just going to flop around in the wind, do damage up against the stakes as such. In this instance, we'll give our snips, our secateurs, another spray, really important. And we'll have a look into the plant and see where the wood is crossing up. And we'll take out the centre wood. So that we get back to a point where we've just got some arms going in different directions. We'll take that out as well. So what we've got is some form of framework there that we can actually work within. Once again, we're going to look at the outward facing buds. So if we start this side, there's an outward facing bud there, nice red one just above it. Clip that off. We're going to have a look here. There's already a shoot coming away, so I'm not keen to leave that green shoot in there. What I'll do is go down to the next bud that is just starting to come, just above, clip that. Take that piece of wood out there, a bud there. Now that's facing upwards, but there are no other buds down the stem readily that we can get at, apart from this looks green there. I'd prefer to go with a bud that was dormant. You've also got this issue here, where the leaf is starting to shoot away. I'd go back hard to the bud that's there, trim up that broken wood, look for a bud underneath here, and you go, oh my God, look at that, there's nothing left. We'll come back and take some photo of that in the springtime and just show you how that recovers. You will be amazed, but usually 2/3 of the plant removed at time of pruning gives you more shoots to come, it invigorates the plant and gives you lots of flowers. The next iceberg that we're looking at, there are some interesting things in that we can actually show you. What we've got here is 2-year-old wood. See this brown wood in here? That's what we want to remove. We want to keep this nice new, even though that's been damaged by the wind, this nice new green green shoots as such, and that's what keeps the plant invigorated. So we'll take out initially this old wood close back to the stem as possible. Got that out. Any more brown wood? Yep, there's one there. You can sort of see the striations on the wood. We'll take that out as well. Then what we're left with is these nice new shoots as such. So the question is, should we take this out? The answer is no, because what you can see there is this plant has 2 buds. It has that side there, which has been grafted at that point, and that side there. So if we cut that wood off there, we're cutting half the plant off. So we have to deal with that accordingly. So let's just deal with one at a time. We'll find an outward facing bud here somewhere. Cut that off, just above the bud, that one off. We'll come back and look, there's some old wood there. So remove that old wood. That doesn't look like a real good shape, so I'll take that off altogether. Look for an outward facing bud, which is going out. And the shoot that we saw here initially, even though it is within the confines of the plant, I'll go below where the damaged wood is to that bud that's facing there, and I'll cut that off like that. So that deals with the bud on the first side. Now we need to look at the bud on the second side. So what we'll do is just take the wood out that is mixed up, which gives us a bit of a framework. That's been a flowering stem. We'll take that out. We found an outward facing bud there. Cut that off, maybe a little bit closer, but not too close. That one there has a leaf on it, which is not desirable, but we haven't got any other buds along that stem, so we'll have to take that one. And then we're looking for an outward facing bud there. Done in 2 minutes. This is a bit more interesting. This is flower carpet scarlet. The advertising for flower carpet is that you can prune them with a hedge trimmer, and that is true. So what we're going to do is try and get, once again, a vase shape with this, getting rid of the old wood and arriving at least 2/3 of the head gone. Flower carpet flowers for 9 months of the year. Scarlet is a beautiful colour. Scarlet and white in the garden are stunning as such. Once again, multi-flowers rather than individual flowers. So I didn't say earlier that iceberg is a floribunda, so that has many flowers. No different pruning technique really than what the hybrid teas are, but this is a bit more of a different pruning technique if you've got flower carpet. So we'll get into that. Once again, spray the secateurs and get into the centre of the plant and try and get rid of some of that old wood. I don't think this has been pruned for a year or two, so we'll just get that out. And the wood we're going to look at keeping is these fresh shoots that are here, like that and like that. We'll get them so that they're not crossed up, but that's the sort of wood we're looking at keeping. So this old wood is what's going. In close and tight to the stem. Now if you don't prune this hard, what happens over time is the plant tends to lose vigour, and we'll show you what happens with incorrect pruning in one of the next videos, as you'll see, as such. So I'll just work on this and then we'll bring you back to show you what the end product actually looks like. I'll just spray my second here. So with the flower carpet, we've taken the older wood out, and you go, oh my God, he's going to kill it. But no, that's not the case. What we've left in here is something for the framework, and we're going to reduce this wood back. It's not all new shoots, as you can see, but we have to keep some of that older wood in to keep some of the framework going. So we're going to look for the buds. You can sort of see them. They're not as pronounced as what the hybrid teas or icebergs are. They're just starting to swell back down the stem. There's one there. So I'll look for an outward facing bud. I think that one might be a good one. We'll take that off and then have a look. We've got one underneath. Outward facing bud underneath. Clip to that. What have we got here? We don't really want that upward facing wood, so we'll go back to the next bud there. We'll have a look here and see what we can find on here. There's a bud under there. We'll prune to that. We'll take that piece of wood out. That really is neither here nor there. We've got a stem here, looking for an outward facing bud. There's one in here where my finger is, just there. We'll prune to that, not too close as we've discussed before. And then this is older wood with a bit of new wood on the end of it, but to keep the shape of the plant in a uniform shape, we're going to have to look and leave this older wood here, find an outward facing bud, prune to that. Any little dags that are there, any dead wood, old leaves, we'll just prune up. Now what will happen is this plant will rejuvenate from this mass of where the stems are and put out lots of new buds, because what you're actually doing is you are rejuvenating the plant as such, and the head will form up, flower in October, and away we'll go. This one's a bit long here looking at it, so I'll probably cut that back just a little more, looking for a bud underneath. Yep, and that gives it, makes the plant a bit more symmetrical. Ideally I would have liked to have taken that out, that piece of wood there, but in the interest of sort of giving it something to progress with, I do that just by shortening it. There's a bud up there, and that's how it should look.